is the pick. Size and athleticism, I've always had a thing for Nathan Gerry's game at Nebraska. He's just one of those guys that he shouldn't start on your football team, but to me, he's one of those guys, an ace in the hole type of player where he's on the back end of the roster. He's going to play special teams. He's going to hustle. He's going to be physical. And if need be, if you got a couple of injuries at the safety position, he'll step in, he'll do his job, he'll do it admirably. And you feel like you're getting as much as you can get out of this guy each and every time you call his name and number. Size and athleticism, 6'2", 218, great size for the safety position, 4'5'8". He can run. He's very tight-hipped, takes small, choppy steps. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but make no mistake about it, he can move when he's on the football field. Solid route recognition. I think he does a really good job. I'm seeing, again, more smart football players recognizing route combinations and what teams are trying to do offensively. I talked about that with Sidney Jones. I talked about that with Rasul Douglas. Here's another guy that I think does a really good job of recognizing what combinations and concepts are being thrown at him and how to break and react to the football. Aggressive downhill attacker. This is a guy that wants, to me, he's a strong safety. He's not an interchangeable. We talk about safeties and being interchangeable, being able to do some free, some strong safety. You got a guy in Malcolm Jenkins that can play free safety for you. This is a guy here in Nate Gerry, and I'm not saying he's going to start, and I'm not saying that he should start, but if you bring this guy into the game, to me, he's an in-the-box safety, a guy that will attack the line of scrimmage, be physical, come down, make tackles, and do his job around the line of scrimmage. Has ball skills though. Don't get the game twisted up. This is a guy, and I told you, does a really good job of recognizing concepts. So he's a guy that will break on the football. 13 career interceptions. Again, he's making plays on the football, and he's one of those guys always around the football. When these guys, like I said, back into the roster, you'll want them on your team though. These are the kinds of guys, they're unheralded, unsung heroes of your football team. Every team needs a Nathan Gerry on their squad. This is the type of guy, forces fumbles around the football, ball gets tipped in the air. Who you think gonna pick it off? Nathan Gerry. Okay, he's one of those guys that's just around the action. Physical around the line of scrimmage. I already talked about that, being an aggressive downhill attacker, but let me re-emphasize that this guy is aggressive, he's physical, and does his best work around the line of scrimmage. Takes good pursuit angles to the football as the next pro. One of those guys that I think, because he is deficient in other areas, must take good angles, and he does take good pursuit angles to the football. And he's got some versatility to him. He's a guy that can play over the slot. I wouldn't ask him to do that too often, but he can and will be effective in that role at times. I think he can really serve as a nickel linebacker, be physical, stay around the box. Like I said, 3rd and 5, something short to intermediate. I think he can be an enforcer. 3rd and 3, not sure if they're going to run or pass. I think Nathan Gerry's your man for the job there. And then strong safety. Like I said, don't want him too far away from the line of scrimmage. I don't want him acting as a single high safety. Don't think he's loose enough to be able to turn and run and get to the football effectively enough. But as a strong safety, coming down in hook zones, being aggressive around the line of scrimmage, I think Nathan Gerry can do that in a reduced role. And also special teams. As you go on to his cons, he's too tight-hipped to be a single high free safety. He takes small, choppy steps. That's another con. He has really short strides. So it takes him a long time to eat up that grass that you need him to. And he's tight-hipped. He's a muscle-bound guy. So he's tight everywhere. He's tightly wound athlete. So it's not easy for him to flip his hips and go and break on a pass 10 yards to the sideline when he's in the middle of the football field, especially if he doesn't get a jump. He plays with good instincts, but if he doesn't get a good enough jump, he's not going to be able to get there. He's going to get to the party late. By the time he gets there, damage is done already. So I don't like him as a single high free safety. Takes too small of steps and his hips are way too tight. And finally, he misses a ton of tackles though. For as aggressive as he is, takes good angles, he misses a ton of tackles because he doesn't come under control. And I talk about that all the time with guys, coming under control. You could come like a banshee screaming out of hell, but if you don't come under control and a guy just simply all he has to do is stop and cut into the other direction, that guy's gonna go flying by. And you'll see that with Nathan Gerry quite a bit, where he'll come downhill, physical, ready to light somebody up, and then a guy just gives him a simple in and out move and he goes flying by. And so that's something that he's going to have to clean up as well if he's going to be on the football field for the Philadelphia Eagles in a Jim Schwartz coach defense. But one thing's for sure, he will get to the football. He will be physical. He will do some good things. And like I said, just the type of guy that I feel like every team needs, a physical, reliable defender that's going to give you everything he's got when he's on the field. In the 5th round, 184th pick overall. Nebraska safety Nathan Gerry for me is a double. Really solid pick here late in the draft. A quality guy. Reminds me a lot of the Redskins safety Reed Doughty. Now, Nathan Gerry is much more athletic and physical than Reed Doughty, but he was so dependable for the Redskins. When they would call his name, he would get beat sometimes, but I knew Reed Doughty would be where he was supposed to be when he was supposed to be there. It was all a matter of measurables with him and lack of athleticism that would hurt him. But where if I told him be 20 yards away at an angle right here, Reed Doughty would be there. Same thing could be said for Nathan Gerry.